earlier. We want to be done in time for other people if they want to attend the rally downtown. There's nothing to vote on today, so we're better off just to get it going.
Don't jinx yourself.
I think I already jinxed myself like about 12 times today.
Probably.
Got a bottle of sparkling wine in the fridge for when we're done.
There you go.
If you're waiting on me, you're all set to go. We're
Oh,
live.
okay. Thanks, Bob. Okay, welcome everybody to the last College Senate meeting of this academic semester. And what a semester it has been. I remember back in our last Senate meeting, everyone was concerned that we were going to have a full moon on Friday the 13th, and then Mercury was going to be in retrograde. And then, holy cow, things hit the fan. And we had COVID-19, we had crazy hailstorms, we had murder hornets, deaths in the Black community that is terrible. And now we have protests and riots countrywide and worldwide. So with that this morning, I would like to share some things that I've had trouble with over the last 2 weeks. I've been reflecting, and as a 40-year-old white woman raising 4 white boys in the suburbs that are mostly white, I wanted to make sure that if I talk about anything about this incident and all the incidents that happened prior to this, that I was doing so in a manner that was respectful to George Floyd and all of everyone else that has perished. So you may be wondering why I'm bringing this up at the College Senate. We're an academic body, and as an academic body, we're supposed to make academic decisions. However, we are educators, and it is our duty to understand what happens in the world in order to build relationships with our students and our community. We are a community college, and we serve our community, and we need to understand our community. It is our duty to educate our students in a world where racism is a real threat and not something that just shows up on the nightly news. In Erie County, 76% of the population is white. In the city of Buffalo, only 13% is Black. Over 37% of residents in the city of Buffalo are Black. We have a city campus with students that come face to face with these challenges daily. And we, as educators at a community college, need to understand these challenges and educate our students about this. So in order to become a better educator to my students and my family, prior to all of this happening, I have attended Diversity Academy, I've attended diversity workshops, I've worked with many people on different diversity training, and you know what? It's not enough. I thought I was giving myself a pat on the back, like I'm doing a good job, and you know what? I'm not. And as I've been reflecting on that, I've been thinking about where I live and my boys, and so I started doing research. I've been reading books like White Fragility, scholarly papers, and I've been watching videos about what it truly means to be a person of color in this time. My boys can go off and ride their bikes through our community, and the only thing that they have to worry about is the fact that someone I know might see them with their helmet unbuckled and they're going to text me. They can ride the bike through the streets with hoodies on, backpacks down the middle of the street. They can do anything they want. The only time they get in trouble is if someone blows them in for not having their helmets or they're not home by the time the street lights are on. What a difference. So with my research and trying to understand, I've been showing the boys videos of young Black men. There's a lot on TikTok. They're inspiring, but they're very sad. And it's about young men of color that share the rules that their mothers give them on the way out the door. Don't put your hands in your pocket. Don't wear your shirt, or don't go out without a shirt on. Don't put your hoodie on. I've never had to deal with this. And I feel that it is our responsibility as educators to get educated on this, because this is a real problem that our students face constantly. And we need to understand that. I understand more now than I did before. But I still don't understand enough. I'll be ordering more books and watching more movies with. So I shared a list of young Black men that have, young and old, I should say, that have been killed under the hashtag Save Names. And I think it's important for us to recognize what has happened in classrooms and in our community. So with that, today, I've had several, hang on a second, there we go, faculty, staff, administrators who've reached out to me. There is a march today at 4:15 at City Hall, Niagara Square. Oh, geez, stupid video. Sorry. Oh, well, that just ruined it. All right, there we go. So there is a rally today meant for educators, K-12, higher ed at Niagara Square. So I'm going to, or at the latest, I should say, 3:45 p.m. I hope to, that if anyone wants to attend this rally, that they have enough. So with that, I would also like to say goodbye to Dr. Hukoi and give him the floor.
Dan, you are muted.
Did you mute me? Hello?
Okay, I just unmuted you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Colleen, for those very insightful, personal, and profound words about our responsibility as educators and the role of our college in contributing to positive change in the world. So this is our final College Senate meeting of the 1920 academic year, and as Colleen has suggested, what an incredible year it has been. And it has been a year unlike any we or anyone has ever seen. But we can take comfort in knowing that we helped our students continue with their education through this unprecedented year. I want to start with a brief update for you on the budget process. At this point, we are awaiting word from the state on the remainder of this year's funding, as well as the anticipated funding for next year. So last week, the Erie County Legislature agreed to extend our deadline to submit next year's budget to the county executive to the end of the month, with the budget submitted to the legislature for review by July 7th. So this extension was granted to give us more time to hear from the state as well as plan for the effects of the pandemic on next year's budget. Penny will submit the budget to our board for approval on June 25th and will ensure the approved budget is forwarded to the county for review prior to her departure from the college on June 26th. I do want to thank Penny for her strong leadership for the past 2 years. Her significant contributions to our administrative, budget, and finance processes will have an impact for many years to come. So we all wish her much success in Philadelphia, and let's give her a virtual round of applause. As Colleen alluded to, today is the funeral of George Floyd, and the Suny Community College presidents just tweeted a collective message that I will read to you, fresh off the press. As presidents of the 30 Suny community colleges, we have been shaken by the recent and abhorrent race-related tragedies throughout our nation. Together, we stand with those harmed by racism, discrimination, and hatred that has plagued our communities for far too long, and our resolve and commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion have never been stronger. Community colleges are a beacon of hope for many who pursue higher education, and while we often celebrate our diversity for the strength and enrichment it brings, we recognize that we are not immune to its challenges. As higher education institution leaders, we believe strongly in and work every day to fight injustice of any kind, including racial injustice. We are individually and collectively committed to learn, listen, and work to change policies in our institutions and in our respective communities that negatively impact our students and employees of color. Racial equality and social justice are ideals inextricably linked to our mission, while hate and fear are anathema to our spirit and beliefs. We are committed to treating all members of our community with respect, protecting them from injustice, and ensuring that their voices are heard. We also know that action is important to make change, and as presidents, we agree to take the following actions to support inclusive activities on our campuses. 1, create town halls or educational sessions on social justice, anti-racism, and equity for all students, faculty, and staff at our college. Secondly, enhance cultural competency training for all those who lead our institutions and who deliver our courses, programs, and services. Thirdly, evaluate data to address disproportionate outcomes and identify issues of inequality and disparate treatment. Together and with our collective resources to reach hundreds of thousands of individuals through education, we will create greater equity and justice for all, the students, faculty, and staff in our colleges, and impact our surrounding communities and the state. We can do better, and we are committed to doing so now and in the future. Signed, the Suny Community College presidents. So we're here. This is my last College Senate as your president. It's hard to believe. It was only 3 years ago that I arrived here at Erie. Although our time together has been short, and I am so very proud of what we have all accomplished together, from rebranding to getting off warning with Mill States to providing education to our students during a global pandemic. I am grateful to each and every member of the Suny Erie family for your willingness to embrace change, embrace our Suny Erie Cares institutional values, and your work in making us a major force for social and economic change in Western New York. I have hope for Erie's future as you have always kept the students of Suny Erie at the forefront of everything that you do. There is a tough road ahead for our country and our community, and our students deserve every ounce of your dedication to helping them on the path to a better life and Western New York to flourish as a better community. I am confident that our board has thought long and hard in the choice of the next president, and I am also confident that you will welcome the next president with the same fervor and hospitality you have afforded me these past 3 years. I truly believe that Suny Area's future is a bright one, and I am pleased to have contributed in a small way to that future. I look forward to hearing about the amazing things you are doing from Kansas City. I will miss you, and I will think fondly of my time here. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have served as your president. It has simply been one of my greatest honors. So thank you and farewell.
Thank you so much, Dan. All
Thanks,
right, so
Brian.
you're welcome. We're gonna move to Amy Yoder and Mark Petrolik to give us the latest on our COVID-19.
Hi, Colleen. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us again. We're happy to be here and give updates any way we can. So I first and foremost want to thank everyone's support. The checkpoints have been going great. I know sometimes it gets frustrating having to kind of evaluate your schedule and decide when you need to be on campus and go through the whole process. But like I've said, the last couple meetings is super important. We do a lot of tracking with that information in terms of maintenance requests as well as movement upon campus. So we thank everybody's support. At this time, we are continuing the single access checkpoint per week. So, you know, by all means, keep in mind the schedule to get those names in by Friday to your department chair or head, and they will move them on through the chain to get them to me to have that access list updated. And don't forget your mask on campus too. If anything comes up and you have questions, please always feel free to reach out to Mark and I. We'll do the best we can to either answer your question or get you connected to the right person. I know I get a lot of questions in regards to those phases. And to be honest with you, the phases are just as confusing to us sometimes as they are to you. So, you know, just keep in mind, we do the best we can with the information that we have. We try not to crystal ball answers, but a lot of the times you're going to get a crystal ball answer too, but an educated one, nonetheless. So with that, I will pass it over to Mark to give you today's updates and where we're at.
Thank you, Amy. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I just got off a Suny police call with the commissioner and all the community colleges. I do want you to be rest assured that we actually are in a better position than a lot of our fellow colleges. Because of the task force, we are ahead of a lot of the games, and without your support, we couldn't be there. I will go down the updates as far as the county. We have the call center going at City Campus. They have reduced the days and hours. They're now Monday through Saturday from 9 to 5. They are no longer 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week. We still have the county drive-through testing at South Campus, and that has reduced hours also. That's every Wednesday at South, and it's for 4 hours from 10 till 2. We still have the Code Blue operations going on at the Flickinger Center. That has been extended through June 30th. I don't have any idea if we're going to be going past that or not. We did do a combined county and state antibody testing site at North Campus this weekend. It was busy. County did over 550 tests there. And we are gearing up for working with the county on a home hazardous waste drop-off at South Campus on Saturday, the 27th. New York State testing still going on at North Campus and the gym. They are closed this week. They will reopen next Monday. And if anybody's concerned about getting an antibody test, please get a hold of Amy or I. We can walk you through that at our North Campus, so you can get that done. I do want to thank some of you for having some foresight. I met with Steve Smith and his enrollment management group today. We started that process so that we can get them moving, looking at all the spaces. Again, if there's anything you need from Amy and I to evaluate that, the sooner we can get that, the sooner we can get the appropriate stuff on order and get this working. That's all, Colleen.
Thank you, Mark and Amy. You guys have been awesome through this entire thing and full of wonderful information that's factual and accurate. And it's been very appreciated with all of your organization and help throughout this crisis. So thank you very much. Let's see, I'm going to, hang on a second, everyone. There we go. All right, so we're moving into old business, and we had a few appointments that were made at the last College Senate Executive Committee for Business Public Service, Dave Bohinski, Liberal Arts South, Erica Hendra, and then our next FCCC, so Faculty Council of Community Colleges delegate, is Jackie Bossman. And in that role, she will become a member of the executive team, replacing Michael Delaney, who's going to be retiring at the end of this semester. Liaison election results are Paul Lamanna, Trina Hill Cheatham, and Marlene Arno. The liaison elections are from AAECC members that are liaisons from their designated areas. And we have 4. 3 were up for a new vote, and there was no competition. So all 3 are back in as voting senators. Next on our old business, we have College Senate placement. There were some questions about the English unit were made, and Dr. Jamie Smith had reached out after the last Senate meeting and offered to spread some light on that and give a report. So I'm going to pass this over to Jamie Smith.
Thank you, Colleen. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So the question was asked how we sort of got here with the English placement. As a result of the pandemic, we were trying to do AccuPlacer, which was our former way of doing placement online, and it presented many different obstacles. So we went to the unit and we asked the unit to help us with a solution that would address the immediate needs for placement of the students. It was needed pretty immediately since we had already been accepting students. I wrote a proposal, which I asked them for their input on. The unit proposed a guided self-placement via Blackboard module. However, when I took that to the higher ups, meaning Doug and Fabio and Steve and those in that realm of placement and getting students in, there were some concerns. The major concern was that our current license for Blackboard did not allow our students to have access to an interactive module until the actual semester that they were in began. I took that back to the unit. We asked for some revisions to what their proposal was. Unfortunately, I did not get those revisions. So the original proposal was handed off, as well as the proposal that I presented originally relying on multiple measures. And once they realized that the unit's proposal was still not viable at that point, they decided to go with multiple measures. I want to reinforce that this is a temporary process to address a unique situation that is a result of the pandemic. The work of the placement task force will continue, and it is there to come up with a long-term solution to address the institutional needs as far as placement. I believe that should fully answer the question unless there is other questions. I don't know if Colleen's talking. I'm handing it back to you, Colleen, unless there's other questions that you can see that I don't.
I'm waiting to see if there's, and I'm looking, sorry. Let me try a different way of looking.
Okay, right now there are no questions, Dr. Smith.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Like, I don't know, I have a blue circle that's just moving. So like, all right. All right, if nobody has any questions on that, we will move on. That's not what I wanted. All right. So, even though we don't have any voting business for uh, academic decisions and things like that that need to be discussed today. I feel that, to address questions that I've been receiving regarding enrollment, admissions, marketing, all those things. So that's how we're going to run through our new business today. So first up on the agenda is enrollment with Steve Smith.
Okay, thanks, Colleen. First off, I just want to thank really all of the members of the enrollment management team. You guys hear me okay? I'm going to assume you can. All right. Just want to thank everybody within enrollment management and beyond, really everybody that's helped a tremendous amount in our move to delivering a number of critical services to our students online. It certainly has not been an easy adjustment. It's taken a lot of work to get to the point where we're at to be able to see appointments and to deliver really the normal quality of care that we would provide our students. So it just can't thank anybody or everyone enough. Everybody in ITS and Marcom and changing web pages and everything. There was really a tremendous amount that needed to get done. Very grateful for the help that we got in the work that we're doing. I wanted to start off today before we get into enrollment numbers. I wanted to start off actually with an update on the CARES Act. The CARES Act, many of you may be aware that the colleges across the country had the opportunity to apply for and receive funding that was based on part of their enrollment. We completed that process throughout March and April. And I'm happy to say that at this point right now, SUNY Erie has, in our accounts, we have $3.9 million to be able to deliver directly in the form of student aid to our current students. So where we're at right now, I guess a couple of things that I wanted to cover first very quickly is how students can use this money. This is, it's important for people to know that this isn't free money to anybody, all right? This is money that is being awarded to students to offset the cost of instruction or the unplanned costs of instruction that are associated with SUNY Erie's move to online courses during the spring semester. So whatever the money goes to, it has to be tied to the cost of attendance. So we could be talking about things like childcare because somebody's schedule changed. We could be talking about educational supplies. We could be talking about the purchase of a computer or having to secure, better internet. Whatever those things are, those are grounds for students to apply and to receive the CARES funding. So we have that process set up right now. We have our awarding strategy developed, and our next steps, hopefully to be executed out here in the next couple of days, is to finish developing our webpage. Marcom's done some great work with us in getting that done here. So our CARES Act webpage that's going to be instructing students throughout the process is ecc.edu/cares-act. And students will be able to go there. We do not have the application yet posted, but we'll hopefully in the next day and have some FAQs there that we know students are going to ask to hopefully guide them through the process. That's going to be happening here in the next couple of days. We will be emailing students then too, giving them specific instructions on how to secure CARES funding in the application process and the things that they need to deal with. Okay. That's it with the CARES Act. I want to switch over, obviously, to the enrollment trends and the challenges that are in front of us. As many of you know, we've been projecting downward enrollments here for some time, and our enrollment was really tied to changes in demography, and COVID has really forced us to change the way that we think about this. At this point, we do see opportunities and we see certainly a number of challenges. One of the things that we've been doing is certainly looking at our enrollment trends over history, but we've also done our fair share of reading in trying to understand what has happened when economic situations have put pressures on higher education and the higher education economy. So I wanted to take this opportunity to clear up a few things out there and get people focused on maybe some of the opportunities and the challenges. what we're going to see based on recent data, when I say recent, we're really going back to the last major recession we had, being the Great Recession in 2008. And basically at that point, what you saw was not an instantaneous rush in student enrollments for community colleges. And that's not even to say that that's going to happen. But what we do expect to see is at first, we hope to see some increase in freshman enrollments as students are starting to look to stay home, looking to see their community colleges as a resource and as a place that's going to give them the opportunity to transfer their courses forward. However, certain economic situations will change. We don't necessarily know at this time what's going to happen with adults returning to work. History would tell us that that is something that takes a little bit longer to pan out. Back in 2008, when the Great Recession hit, we didn't see boosts in enrollment until 2010. So it can take a while for these things to kind of settle and for colleges to experience a change in enrollment. And I want to be careful to say a change in enrollment because I don't want to say necessarily a positive or a negative effect. My point is just saying that they aren't always instantaneous. So just to kind of summarize that though, and where we see our trends at this point right now, we do see that our freshmen are actually trending positively. And that's great news for us. And I just have to stress this by saying that we're very early in the cycle at this point. There's not a lot of data for us to guide us at this point, but the great work that is being done with Phil, the admissions team, the admissions counseling departments, getting the applications in, processing them amidst some really unprecedented challenges. I can't thank that team enough for getting the work done. Other trends that we are seeing right now, we're seeing a very sluggish transfer market. This is something that we're seeing statewide. This is not unique to SUNY Erie. Colleges across the state within the SUNY system are seeing some really low transfer numbers. And I think that that's probably something to be expected as colleges are still trying to figure out what they're going to do. And I think students are probably adopting that shelter in place moment or train of thought right now as they try to figure out what they're going to be doing. And lastly, our continuing student enrollment. That's the most negative trend that we have going on at this point. We have a number of students, of course, that withdrew from courses. They may have taken incompletes independent of what was going on with other students in the same section. We have students that have taken section-wide incompletes. And really at this time, we have different enrollment scenarios assembled, and we are waiting for guidance from SUNY, from the county, from the state on how we're going to be able to deliver our education to our students in the fall 2020 semester to really see exactly which scenario is going to be the most accurate one for us to work under going into the fall 2020 semester. All right. Other things that I wanted to focus on too. So what are we doing about this? Some things that we've done are great, really good things that we've continued to do over the previous, over the previous terms. Other things that we're doing now are a little new. We're continuing on with our text communication to students. So as we finished up the spring semester, we were texting pretty regularly. We were texting students often, generally about every week. As we've moved into the summer months here, and there's obviously a lot of turmoil and emotion that students are dealing with right now, ranging from COVID to the obvious negative civil and racial unrest that we're experiencing right now, that we have backed that off to about every other week. Other things that we are doing though is that we're doing different forms of email communication. Instead of doing just regular emails from the college, we worked with counseling to get emails sent to students directly from their assigned counselor. And the big benefit to that is that it tied the email to the student and actually gave them an opportunity to establish an appointment by clicking on a link in that email. So an appointment directly with that counselor. So we're trying to just remove as many barriers as we can to student enrollment. Again, thanks to Andy Annecy and also the counseling department here. We've got a pilot program that we're working on with assembling schedules for students who have not yet re-enrolled for the previous term. We're focusing really on the students that are very much in the middle. We're focused on students that have between a 2.0 and a 3.0 GPA, knowing that they're probably going to be at the greatest risk right now, that they may be feeling uncertain. We want to reach out to them to let them know that we have a schedule. that can fit their needs, meet their needs, and we want to give them an opportunity to reach out to us, whether it's by appointment, but even if they don't have an appointment, we've reached out to them and said, hey, based on a scan of your academic work, looking at your degree audit, here are the courses that you need to be thinking about taking this fall. So again, we're really trying to take down those barriers. Additional things that we're working on, we're doing departmental texting plans. That's something that's been going on, especially within Dean Sagai's area, within engineering and technologies, and we'll be working with the other academic deans to expand that communication strategy as well. That gives the faculty an opportunity to be very, very hands-on in making those connections with our students and making those appointments to get in. Maybe it's not going to be, of course, an on-campus appointment, but we do want to really pull out all the stops and get people connected with everything that we can. But really, at this point, going forward to one thing that's been going on really since COVID struck, we're very focused on trying to remove our in-person barriers for our upcoming enrollment rush. As most of you know, SUNY, Erie, and community colleges in general receive a lot of our enrollments in the last month of enrollment. So we're really talking about August 15th to September 15th, somewhere in and around there, up till the end of the drop ad cycle. That's when things get very busy for us. Circumstances being what they are, we can't leave that to chance. So our focus right now is, of course, on getting Workday up, but more importantly than that, we have to keep the lights on, and that means getting our students enrolled in courses for the upcoming fall 2020 semester as soon as possible is our highest priority. So this is something that we're going to just really be, we're going to need a lot of help with this. This is going to be something where we may ask folks to think about doing things that were outside their comfort zones. Maybe that wasn't something that you've done previously, but at this point, really every little bit helps. We are in incredibly unprecedented times, and I know that everybody here, everybody on this in the Senate meeting, everybody at the college, we all want the same thing. We want a healthy enrollment. We want good opportunities for our students. We want great outcomes for them. We want them to get jobs. We want them to transfer and go on and do great things in their lives. And this is a time I hope I can count on everybody to pull together and look at their calendars, look at the things that we need to do, and to be willing to think outside the box alongside us as we go forward here. So I'm just going to wrap up the portion for continuing student enrollment, and I'll turn it over to Phil Struble and Paul Sandy to talk about new student enrollment trends.
Are you all set, Steve?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm having trouble hearing
Okay.
Colleen, so I don't know what's going on.
You want us to begin, Colleen? Just give us a thumbs up.
All right, go ahead, Phil.
All right. All right. Well, thanks, everybody, for giving us the time. Paul and I have
Sorry,
been working.
Bill, I was having bandwidth issues.
No problem. Paul, Sandy, and I have been spending a lot of time virtually working on converting a lot of our recruitment to virtual formats. We, as Steve talked a lot about, the enrollment trends, we very quickly, I think, we've been able to adapt the enrollment process and all the enrollment services remotely, but we needed to really kind of look at the recruitment activities, because really we lost the National College Fair at the Convention Center. It's a great feeder for us for our first-term students, as well as our spring open houses. Both those events were canceled. So in conjunction with Paula in the admissions team, we've organized what we're calling the Explore Erie Week. So basically what this is, it's a week-long, probably the best way to talk about it is like a week-long open house. There are going to be 5 different program area type presentations with faculty involved, as well as 3 general information sessions going on with the college recruiters. We've done the general information sessions before, so the program specific pieces are new. But with Paula's help, these pieces are going to be marketing, and I'll let her talk about the specific details of the marketing strategy she's put together. It's very robust. Really should get our message out there. These events are all week next week. You can register right on the site if you wanted to kind of see what's going on. I know we have not picked every program, but all the deans are involved, and they're going to, if your program is not specifically represented, then your dean will represent you. Our goal is hopefully to continue these type of events if based on the success and lessons learned from this. Virtual events are different. Attendance is different, interactions different. So they're a little, I believe it or not, based on if you can compare setting off a virtual event versus a in-person event, there's a lot more logistical issues. So with that, Paula, I'll let you talk about the marketing.
Happy to chat about marketing as always. So a couple of things. I did send a summer marketing schedule to Colleen, which she did post to the Senate site for all of you. She has it as well. I don't know if she's going to put it up on the screen for us. But it is up on the Senate site as part of the agenda. And this is the prelim schedule for this summer. And it tells you exactly what I have booked so far. That doesn't mean we won't be adding to it along the way. But it's what we've booked up to this point. And a lot is going to depend on financially kind of where we're at money-wise for the rest of the summer and whether or not we're going to be able to utilize what had been allocated to marketing from the begin with. The good thing is that I was able to reallocate a lot of the marketing money that we had put aside for the open houses in early April because those did not take place. All of my vendors let me repurpose our marketing dollars. The other good thing is that most of our vendors have been hurting pretty badly. So for the months of June and July especially, a lot of them were bonusing me on the purchases we had already done if we fulfilled those purchases. So the campaigns that we're doing with cable TV, for instance, for what was originally going to be a $10,000 buy, I'm getting $15,000 worth of spots and digital impressions at this point. So there's a lot of very specific work that we're doing, and the information sessions are what we're focusing on right now. So I did do some digital display advertising for summer. We've seen a little bit of a lag on it. I've got a heavier push going right now for summer too, because we've been waiting on, we were waiting on Suny to give us the go-ahead or the not go-ahead, as the case was, for whether we were going to be online or be able to hold in-person classes. But for the information sessions next week, I've repurposed a lot of our what was from open house, as well as some digital campaigns that I had already scheduled for the months of May and June. Into a pretty robust schedule this week, particularly using some of our radio, some of our TV, targeted digital campaigns, targeted social media campaigns, which are not on there, but I'm working on building those out this last night late, as well as some targeted e-blasts. So everything that we're doing with these, when I've talked before about using that cluster-based strategy, that's exactly what Phil and I have been doing with his team in developing these targeted virtual sessions for next week. So, medical professionals behind the scenes, there's a very specific targeted audience for those. And any of the students who are in our prospect funnel at this point, who've expressed an interest in those programs, are getting program-specific confirmation and information from us this week, letting them know about those sessions, that particular session next week, in addition to the general information sessions. But the idea behind these is to really get students who are interested in those programs in particular to attend those virtual sessions next week. And we're going to gauge the success of these next week to really determine what we might need to change, if anything, or what we need to do for follow-up on these. So part of what I wanted to talk about, because I know we talk a lot about the marketing piece of it, but there's a big portion of I think what you guys don't necessarily know about. There's an enrollment funnel, And the funnel actually has multiple stages to it. So each stage of that funnel is impacted by a different area of the college, more or less. So when we talk about the marketing piece of it and what we're doing with the virtual information sessions, the targets for that generally tend to be the front half of the funnel, which is people who are in the inquiry stage and perhaps have already maybe started their application but not completed it. So those are the two areas that really marketing and admissions work very tightly hand in hand to try and move students from one stage of the funnel to the next. Because once they get their application completed, then they go through the admissions process. Once they're accepted, they move into that last stage of the funnel where they're ready for enrollment. And that may include placement testing and a few other areas, but they've gotten past the bigger hurdles and they've moved back into our back half of the funnel. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the data for that. So far this year, we've had about 9,400 inquiries into the college, and those could have come in through the website. They could have come in through the recruitment events where Phil's team was out on the road. They could have come in from a student who happened to be on campus for a tour. They could have come in from the high school visits. Those could have happened almost anywhere. And we're not very far off pace from where we were with inquiries last year. So given the fact that we lost a 2-month window in here and we lost all those big events that Phil was talking about, the fact that we're at about 96% of where we were last year, percentage-wise, for inquiries for this year is pretty good. We do anticipate seeing a higher push coming in because the advertising we're doing isn't just specific to students who are already in our funnel. It's actually driven out there to people who have interest in the areas that we're talking about. But what I want to talk about is kind of where everybody stands at this point. So we've had 9,300, almost 9,400 students in the funnel and the inquiry stage for this year. Currently, there are 3,100 active students in that stage, meaning about 6,000 of those people have moved on to later stages of the funnel. So 6,200 of those 9397 have applied to this college for this year. And 4,000 of those students who have been admitted, which means there are 4,000 students who have moved into stage 4 of the funnel. And this is where Phil and I have been talking with the academic teams to talk a little bit more about once they reach that stage 4 of the funnel, there's not a lot we need to do to recruit them into the college, but what we need to do is start talking about how we convert them from being admitted to the college to being enrolled at the college. So that's another area that we're going to be working on, but that's where we kind of fall off with the marketing piece because we're not necessarily advertising to them. They've already made it through 3/4 of our funnel, and now it's about closing the deal and getting them sold on coming here to the college. So right now there are about 2,250 applications that still need to be processed through Phil's area. The great thing is he's got some repurposed hours for some staff, so he's going to be pushing some more of those applications through because we're hoping we see a higher uptick in those next week after those virtual sessions as well. So we're going to keep working through the different stages of the funnel all summer. I want to touch on something that Steve mentioned too. He said that right now we are seeing a little bit of a lag in transfer students, and that probably will hold, except for, there's one thing that I do want to mention. You know, in August, a lot of students who were probably contemplating going to 4-year institutions may actually enroll with us come August because they're not going to go away to school. So, you know, go away to school any longer. So if they're a 2nd-year student someplace else at a 4-year institution and they're a little bit skittish about going away and being away from home, we may see an uptick in those transfer students. The issue we have to be considerate of, though, is that we're likely going to see that as a retention issue down the road, meaning if they're going to come here for a semester or two, they're not going to stay. So that doesn't mean we shouldn't provide the same service to them that we do all of our other students, but it's something that we have to be cognizant of, that our transfer number may shoot up in August, but by January that retention number might go down a little bit. It's something I'm planning for, so I think it's something we're anticipating, but this next year is going to be a very interesting conversation. The new students coming in, I do think that we're probably going to see an increase in those high school students for at least a semester or two. Again, it may be a retention issue down the road. It may not. They may come in having anticipated going to a 4-year, and they may stay with us until they finish here. But we do anticipate at some point we are going to see that uptick in the non-traditional population. So this is part of what I'm watching from a demographic perspective. When Steve and I talked earlier today, we talked a little bit about maybe taking a look at the demographic breakdown of the new students coming in, for the particular reason of taking a look at how many high school students, how many traditional age high school students are coming in versus non-traditional for the fall, and then taking another look back at that in January to see if we're going to see an increase in that non-traditional population. We do anticipate that the economy is going to flush out a little bit more at that point. So you're either going to see people who are going to be long-term unemployed because businesses are not going to bounce back, or you're going to see a lot of chronically underemployed people. So we're going to continue to watch the trends in all of these areas. And if you look at the marketing schedule, part of what has been in there is that a lot of stuff is still going to be to be determined. So the month of July, I'm not committed to what we're going to do digital campaigns for. I'm not committed to what we're going to run the radio for, because I want to watch the trends to see what we're looking at, especially if we see a need in one particular area of the college or another. I want to put a caveat on some of the digital marketing campaigns that I've got on there. We've got a 2-month campaign running right now for manufacturing and for the auto trades. But if we see enough of an increase in those areas and we no longer need to push in those areas, I can repurpose those digital campaigns for something else. And we can start doing a push for those program areas that we need those pushes in. So, that funnel, when we're looking at it, we're looking at every phase of the funnel, but what I'm also looking at is who is in the funnel itself. So Phil will send me a list of the actual student names in there with their program interest. And we'll take a look to see exactly how many people we have in each phase of the funnel, so we know where we need to focus our efforts now. So that's kind of all for marketing for at this point, but I'm wondering, does anybody else have any questions? I'm looking at Mike Delaney's question on figures on fall enrollment is at right now as compared with previous years. Mike, you are right. The numbers aren't necessarily comparable, and Steve and I talked about this earlier today. Year over year, again, so part of the problem is we haven't set the goal for our fall enrollment yet this year, partially because we're still assessing the impact of COVID on what the fall is going to look like. But for first-time students, we are right now, first-time registered students is 224 versus 143 at this point in time last year. Continuing students is down by roughly about a little under 500. It's about 2146 currently versus 2622 last year. Keeping in mind, we don't know how many of our continuing student pool is eligible to return at this point, so removing anybody who graduated, and also not necessarily keeping in count anybody who has only got a 1 or 2 classes left to finish because they've taken an incomplete this semester. So that may have an impact as well. Transfers are down by about 50, 23 to 84 over last year. And returning students, which is stopout students, is at 259 currently versus 273 at this point in time last year.
Great. Thank you, Paula. I think I saw that Dave Bohinski might have a question. No more? All right. I think I fixed my bandwidth. All right. I think I fixed my bandwidth issue, so that's good. All right. If there's no more questions, we're going to move on to Dr. Marianne Partee with what's happening with Summer Institute and other things CPD related.
Hi, can you all hear me? Thanks for that. CPD. Well, as you know, and you should have gotten the email, Summer Institute is this Thursday. You're welcome to join us from the comforts of your home. You can wear your t-shirt. You don't have to dress. I wanted to order lunch and have Uber deliver, but I couldn't get the budget approved, so lunch is on your own. But on a serious note, it is going to be a great day. We have lots of things that you may want to consider participating in. It is a day where we are going to be able to get together collectively, and we haven't been able to do that. So typically, Summer Institute allows us to get together in an informal way. And because we're working from home, I didn't want us to lose that. So Fabio and Doug worked with me and allowed for this to take place. And thank you for all of those that are willing to be presenters. But if you look at the schedule, there's something for everyone. It is a day of time for you to relax and enjoy. We have a super lunch schedule for you, so pack your lunch so you can join us for that. The sessions are organized so that you can take a break in between and come back in and back out at your leisure. But I want you to pay particular attention to a couple. There's one that is going to be in the middle of the day by DEA Tracy Archie, and she will be addressing some of the concerns regarding diversity, equity, inclusion, and given the times that we're in, I think that's important. The other thing, I just want to thank Colleen for that opening today, by the way, on Black Lives Matter. That's one of my white allies, Jay Colleen. It's a hard talk, but the College Senate is a white body for the most part, like most institutions. But here at Suny, we have the Diversity Academy, and if you notice, that is up, and there's an excellent anti-racist reading list. So over the summer, please take the opportunity to pick out something and read something different. If you read something different, we learn about each other in ways that we wouldn't have otherwise. I don't have a session on that for Summer Institute, but at the end of the day, at 2 o'clock, Joanne, Colmar, and Nate has spent a lot of time preparing for that last session. So during that session, we're going to reflect on all of the challenges that we have all encountered. This is going to be a day of thank you to everyone that has held this together. What I've noticed is that we've had all of these messages saying how we needed to support our students. And I'm like, wait a minute. We've got to thank our faculty and staff and all of us behind the scenes that are working more hours than we ever did, communicating with people we otherwise wouldn't, to hold this up behind the scenes. So I think it's really important. If you thought about not even bothering to tune in, try to do that, because we will be able to connect in a way that we may not know when it will happen again. I think Colleen's going to put up the agenda, and it's not on this particular agenda, but the one that you will receive or you have access to online has the links that you will be able to connect to right from the agenda during that day. So please take some time to join us. And if there's any suggestions that you have moving forward, don't hesitate to send it to the CPD so we can get that announcement out to the college community. Okay, any questions? Everybody's mic's off, so.
I don't think there's any questions. Marianne, thank you so much. And thank you for putting together a very meaningful Summer Institute. I know it's something that so many of us look forward to, and it's going to be different being online, but I'm sure you're going to do an awesome job, and I can't wait to watch it.
And don't forget the summer reading list.
Oh, and the summer reading list. I've already got like 3 coming from Amazon. So
Okay.
3 more, I
Sounds
should
good.
say.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. All right, let me try to share my screen again. Okay, so with that, I have a part of the agenda that I am calling well wishes, because I really didn't know how else to express it. We're losing some people, as Dr. Hakoy had mentioned, this is his last meeting. Penny Howard is leaving, and so we're going to be getting a new interim president, and there's going to be a lot of changes at the college coming up, especially with all the change and things that we're all going through as a college and a community. But I want to wish Dr. Hakoy good luck when he goes to Kansas, and Penny, good luck when she goes down to Philadelphia. I'm sure you guys are going to do awesome and take all the things that you learned here with us with you. I also want to thank Michael Delaney. I know he's been with the college for quite some time, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but when I was 19 in 1996, I came in to the college for a placement exam, and I met Michael Delaney, and I was 19 and irritable that I had to take this exam because I had taken AP Calculus at my senior year of high school. So Michael, after finding this out, he was a TA at South Campus at the time, and he says to me, well, then why don't you come be a tutor? And after that, I became a tutor for Erie Community College, and I've technically been employed from the college since 1997. And it's there where I learned my love of mathematics and my love of teaching that I went on to become a math teacher. And then I finally came over to the college as a full-time professor and became, working with Mike again, and it was great. And then he has been with the FCCC for at least 15 years, and he's the reason that we have shared governance today at the college. And he's going to be retiring, and he's been a driving force of governance for the college and across the state with the Faculty Council of Community Colleges. And I just want to wish him the best of luck. We're going to miss him. I'm trying to convince him to be our new parliamentarian, because we all know that he's probably not going to be able to go totally hands-free from the college, but we'll see. I'll give him a couple months to decide. But I also want to wish Michael, he's been a mentor to me and to so many, best of luck in his future endeavors. Okay, last, not quite last, but close. We have a calendar for our College Senate. We conferred with about 3 different types of calendars to make sure that we didn't mess anything up with any sort of days. Now, of course, with the COVID, we don't know what the fall is going to look like. I'm going to assume, which I shouldn't assume anyway, I'm going to assume that we're going to be doing this at least online for September. We'll reevaluate at the time, but we'll be doing it online for, at minimum, the September meeting. The September meeting will be September 8th. And I know it's 3:34, and I want to let everyone that needs to go to the rally off the hook. So for the good of the order, I'm going to share something that I blatantly stole from the internet, but I thought it was appropriate. Okay, so it's a poem, and you may have seen it on social media because that's where I got it from. Because I'm not a writer, I'm a math person. So what if 2020 isn't canceled? What if 2020 is the year we've been waiting for? A year so uncomfortable, so painful, so scary, so raw, that it finally forces us to grow. A year that screams so loud, finally awakening us from our ignorant slumber. A year we finally accept the need for change, declare change, work for change, become the change. A year we finally band together instead of pushing each other further apart. 2020 isn't canceled, but rather the most important year of them all. I want to wish everybody a wonderful summer, and that I hope everyone makes the best of it in the circumstances that we are. And go look up that reading list that Marianne sent out through Tracy Archie's office. It's enlightening, and you will learn, and it's best for all of us as a college and as educators to continue to educate ourselves so we can educate our students better and our family members. I'm going to sign off. Have a great summer, everybody. And those of you that are heading downtown, get going, and I hope you find good parking. Thank you, everybody.